Hello.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How's it doing with you?
Oh, hanging in there, making it work. It's
Yeah,
hot here. How about you? Where are you located? You said you're East Coast?
yes, it's true actually. I live in Florida in right in Gainesville, which is 2 hours away from Orlando.
Oh my gosh, you sound like a movie trailer.
Honestly, a lot of voice actors I've been meeting for over 3 years actually said that to me.
I
But
hear it.
so yeah, but thanks for willing to do this, Kate.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me. It's nice to talk face to face after messaging all this time.
Yeah, it happens the same thing with everybody else I've met. But
Yeah.
I've been getting to know a lot about you since Zom 100 from the show, and since that I've been getting to know about your other voices that you've been doing in the recent projects actually, through Genshin Impact, through Seven Deadly Sins, and more anime that is yet to come, you know.
Hopefully.
Honestly, you deserve to be in a lot of stuff since you yourself are very good at these stuff right there.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
It's what I do best, you know. Plus, I
It
said the same thing to a friend of mine who I interviewed with yesterday by the name of Darius Johnson.
I love Darius. Darius is just a good guy, like solid 10 out of 10 person. Uh,
Yeah, I
yeah.
actually told him that this one funny thing that if he is ever to be in a show, the show that I recommend him to be in is My Adventures with Superman. Since I noticed that Silas Stone is in it and that he is voiced by this actor from Kekken Ashura, I thought to myself that if Silas Stone is in there, then a younger version of him, his son, should actually be more like him. And when discovering Darius's voice, that's what I thought. Him being Victor Stone, aka Cyborg, will make him excellent. And I told him that, and he's like, honestly, Sebastian, that's the most awesome idea ever. And I
Yeah,
was
I
like,
know. I'm on this campaign with you. Let's make it happen.
yes, indeed. Plus, that show has been going on for almost like, how do I say this? Since 2023 and since the debut of the Supergirl character in the show, oh, it's been getting on my head a lot, you
Yeah.
know? That everybody's been wanting a season three to happen because of all that Comic-Con stuff that happened since July. So, yeah. But anyway, I've been wanting I have many questions I've been wanting to ask you, Kate.
Yeah, of course. Ask away.
Tell me, how is it like being a voice actor in many animated projects?
Honestly, it is kind of a dream come true. I've been pretty like outspoken about this in previous conversations that I wasn't always a voice actor. I mean, I've always liked acting and I've always liked performing. But I taught fourth grade and fifth grade for a bit before I got into voiceover. I quit at the end of 2021. And the reason that I did was because I had booked my very first studio job and I thought, this is the best thing ever. I want to do this for the rest of my life. I am so enamored with this world. So any project that comes my way, any opportunity to be behind a microphone is just like the happiest I will ever be. So it feels great to answer your question in a very long way.
Interesting. So that's how it's like doing that. To be honest, a friend of mine actually told me that she was a teacher once before she became a voice actress herself.
Yeah?
And you know the name of this voice actress my friend of mine is?
No, who?
It's all in my YouTube channel, but it's Mary Westbrook.
Oh, no
She
way.
told me herself that she was actually a teacher once, and that's when by the time 2011 comes is where she became a voice actress herself when she got herself into her first ever project, which is in Star Wars: The Old Republic. So
Wow, what a great first project.
indeed, she told me herself, and that's where I come to understand that quite well. And you telling that to me right now makes me think of that 1 year ago.
Yeah,
So
it's
yeah.
crazy. It's nice to know I have that connection with her. Uh,
Indeed.
yeah, I mean, teaching is performing in and of its own self, keeping a
Yeah.
class of kids entertained. But I wanted something more, something that kind of fed me my soul, I guess, more. So I was
Yeah.
excited to be able to step into this world.
That's an interesting thing to say from you. But which of course leads me to the most important question, but how did you get into voice acting and what is it that you were able to do in order to get there?
So, I always liked doing voiceover on the side as like a passion thing. When I was 14, I worked on a YouTube series that I found through Voice Acting Alliance, which was this like forum that we would go on back in the day to just like see if there were projects that were hiring. And I worked on this very silly series that I don't tell people about usually. But through doing that, recording on my phone in a closet or in my mom's car or wherever I could find a quiet space, I developed a passion for it. Then I went to college, and in college, I actually studied music. I did vocal performance. I was an opera singer. And, I knew I always wanted to do something performance adjacent. I didn't know what it would look like. I've always been a singer, but opera, that world just kind of was abrasive to me. And I felt like instead of all the singers supporting one another, it was really competitive and really not like a fun environment to be a part of. And that's, no shade to opera people, but that was my experience. And when I was in college, I took a voiceover class with Phil Allen and Vicki Lewis. Funnily enough, one of my classmates in that class was Koy Dow, and we'll get back to that later. But so I took this class and I was like, wow, this is so much fun, but I don't even know how I could make a career out of this. So I'm just gonna kind of put it in the back pocket. I'll go teach, make my money out here and to survive in Los Angeles because it's expensive here. And I always kind of had the bug while I was teaching. I would take the occasional class. Like I would take like maybe one class a year because that was what I could afford because those are expensive too. Everything's expensive. But I took a class with Charlie Adler, who is amazing. And he is the most wildly energetic and excitable person. And he's kind of the type of teacher that you'll go in the booth and he's just like screaming at you, but not in a bad way, but he's just very passionate and very excited. And so you're getting excited, you're making all these really fun choices and reading and playing and fully embracing that aspect of this career. And I just remember everybody in that class was so nice. I remember I had like what Charlie Adler, Eric Bauza, and Jenny McSwain, I think were my first like teachers out in the world. And I was in class with all sorts of amazing actors and feeling like, wow, I'm kind of keeping toe to toe with them. Maybe I could, maybe I could do this. So I stitched together my own demo. I still use my own self-made video game demo actually. I just like put in things that are new when they arise, but I stitched together my own demo and I sent it out on to a Facebook casting call I saw one day just out of the blue. I was like, sure, this will maybe turn up something. And sure enough, I got in contact with Mina Kitajima, who put me in a game called Memento Mori. And that was my first game I ever recorded, first thing I ever did in studio. And it kind of snowballed from there in that like I walked out of that session, got into my car, and just like burst into the happiest tears ever of like, I found the thing I'm gonna do for the rest of my life. Now I have this huge drive to make it happen. So from that point on, it was like, okay, well, how do I make it happen? And I thought, well, I probably should just be taking classes. Like classes are where you learn how to act and do all this stuff, but you also are making connections. You're meeting other actors, you're meeting directors, casting people, people that you have no idea, where they'll end up, 5 years down the line. And so it's just good to start building relationships, making friendships, just being genuine and having genuine connections, but those connections that I made and forged in those classes have helped me down the line. So yeah, a lot of luck, a lot of class taking, a lot of a big expense, taking those classes. But I mean, I'm pretty sure it was because of a class that I got into Zom 100, and I think that that was kind of the beginning of me starting to actually book things. So yeah,
Wow. So
yeah,
that's how you got into voice acting because of all those things that you're going through like that. To be
yeah.
honest, I actually take some voice acting classes, and honestly, some of them are very expensive and that it was a bit of a challenge, trying to find which class works best for me, which is why I took this one called On the Mic Training and
Ooh,
and I actually got taught by Julius Chow, the Canadian voice actor who literally got himself into Total Drama Island and other various projects and I did learn about anime dubbing from him, about what's it
yeah.
like being there, and gives me the chance to just understand it, which is why the demo that I sent to you was actually the ones made by the company itself on the mic training.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
That's
because
like found that.
Because truth is that I wanted to get into, I wanted to finally have myself into to get into more opportunities since I myself am a voice actor too,
Yeah.
but I need to get myself into more projects so that I can, you know, be part of a lot of things. Even working with you will be one of my biggest opportunities that I've been wanting to do for like, I don't know, how do I say this? Like, because the truth is that the reasoning why I like to get into video games and anime with you and everybody else is not only to see myself on TV, so I can have a lot of connections with other people, people that I wanted to be friends with, since since I've been struggling to make friends, due to my disabilities of autism,
Yeah.
but fortunately, I got help from a lot of people who've come to understand how I feel.
Well, that's great. I'm sorry that you've been having struggles with that, but know that all of those struggles are temporary too. You
Yeah.
know, things will get better and those people will come. I mean, we can be friends.
Of course we can, because it's all part of making sure I understand people's great motivation and what is it that makes them go better at this.
Yeah.
So yeah. But anyway, about the questions I asked you, but what was your first ever character you get to play as way before you got into many others? Because from your IMDb so far seems is in the deterrent in 2013. It's something I have observed right there. So that's
Yeah,
the reason why I'm asking you this.
it's surprising that that is listed as 2013. I didn't actually even put that credit on there. That was a project that I think I did in 2020 from my house through Casting Call Club. So
Oh,
that's like a later project. I just somebody made a Fallout mod and I'm in it. Which was fun. I loved working on those projects because it was a lot of recording in my closet, especially in a time where I was, stuck at home. So if we're talking first ever,
like your first ever character you get to play as, like your first ever professional gig.
my first ever professional gig, the first thing I ever got paid for was doing an audiobook called Carla and Leo's World of Dance, I think, for my college professor. I don't know. I don't even know if that project ever really came out, but I got paid for it. So there's
Nice.
that. I would say the first thing that I had tangible evidence of was there's an arcade game in California in Los Angeles. There's this place called Two Bit Circus, which is like a little um like adult arcade essentially. There's arcade games, there's escape rooms, there's a bar. It's fun and nice, but inside there is a game called Wiffle Waffle. And I am the waffle. So which the extent of being a waffle was going like so it was mostly just like making sounds, but yeah, I would say that was probably my first gig I got paid for. But my first like real money, like big gig in a recording studio that I went in for was Luna Lynn in Memento Mori back in 2021. that was my first like 3 hour session and had a bunch of dialogue and lots of cool things to do and a character that I could get in a mobile gotcha game. So that was really exciting and fun. And I still love her dearly. She's still my banner on X because I can't change it. I love her.
Yeah. I'm just trying to make sure so that just in case that when your voice acting goes extended beyond, which of course, when you get into more gigs and stuff like that, that's where I'll do a voice showcase for you by all means, so that you can be appreciated for all the stuff. Just like I've done it for others for almost like 3 years, you know? Like when I did that like two 2 years ago, which I meant 1 year ago, I actually did a video for someone named Billy Kometz as a way
Oh,
to help him be recognized and to have all the voice actor support to help him be remembered. But the
yeah.
truth, and you want to know the truth?
Yeah, tell me.
He he is the reason why I'm being motivated into getting into voice acting for, because in order for me to get into more projects, I need to be friends with a lot of voice actors, just as he once did, and so that I can be able to carry on his legacy and do the impossible. So that's the reason why I've been working so hard to meet with a lot of people, the one he is friends with, and
Yeah.
so that I can be who I really am.
Yeah. Well, I think that's really cool that you're inspired by Billy.
Yeah,
Bill was amazing. I mean, I never knew him personally, but I admired his work and yeah, I mean, it
that's
it's cool that he could inspire you like that. Uh
yeah, and that's the reason why I respect him a lot. If I would have known about voice acting years ago, maybe I would have had the chance to meet him alongside everybody else. But unfortunately, there is no point in turning back time. We can only face reality. And
yeah.
that's something I've come to understand from everyone I know. So
Yeah.
that's the truth I want to tell you.
No,
But
it's a good
oh,
perspective to have, is all I'm saying.
that's a good thing to hear from you, Kate. I appreciate it. But anyway, in the game Genshin Impact, what was your favorite part about playing Le Pen Pauline?
Lapine Pauline, the I think the funniest thing to come out of that is the line that everybody really seemed to cotton on to. They're like, I'm begging you like the beggiest beggar in all of begdom. Everybody likes that one. So I would say that was probably the most fun. I mean, she was definitely my most dramatic character I've played so far. She's crazy. Well, actually, that's not true. I would say Isolde is also pretty dramatic. But you know, she was my first very dramatic character. So it's always fun to kind of be silly in the booth and clown around a little bit and try to make the folks on the other side of the glass laugh. That's always my goal, especially for like a comedic character like that. If I make myself laugh and I make them laugh, then I feel good.
Well, that's an interesting thing I'm beginning to see right there. All I know is that I've been seeing a lot of Genshin Impact throughout the years. I even got to meet some of the actors of that game. And and guess who I got to meet with?
Who?
Oh, you may know her, but it's Jenny Yokobori.
Oh yeah, that's
She's a,
so cool.
she actually followed me on Instagram, and because we met each other in person, she's gotten
Yeah.
to know me very well because of the things that I've been doing, not just for her, but for everybody else for almost 3 years.
Yeah. Jenny's really cool. I got to meet Jenny for the first time earlier this year actually, which was neat when we had a little Undead Unluck get together.
I saw from the pictures
Yeah.
that I saw on the Twitter right there. It seems very nice that you got to know everybody so far. So that's why I've come to understand that if I was in the group, then it'll be nice to just be around for a while and just enjoy some time right there.
Yeah, and I mean, the way that I was able to make friends and get myself in was just honestly taking those classes. I would say Speaking of classes, one of the best ones that I did for like meeting people was last January. I took Jennifer Hale's Start It class on Skills Hub. And that class, I met a good friend of mine, Dan Hutton. And I think when you meet people in class that are kind of in the same, like part of life that you're currently going through, whatever that may be, you kind of like are like, okay, we're going to do this together. We're going to support each other. We're going to work up through that. And it's been cool to like watch the friends that I've made through the years kind of flourish as time passes. And
Well,
we also, which is cool.
that's a good sign to see from you. And it's putting a smile on my face right there.
I'm glad.
But anyway, how is it like about playing Luna Lynn in Memento Mori?
Love it. I love it. I love it. I love her. Um, she's definitely in a part of my voice that I don't get to use very often. I think lately I've been cast as like deeper voiced girls because my voice is deeper. But she's got this kind of like higher breathy tone that's really fun to live in. She's just a good person. She's trying her best. But she also had this like in the story of the game, she sacrifices herself for her sister, and endures some pretty tough things. And as a result of that, kind of loses her mind a little bit. So there's a lot going on in that story. But the culminating thing, is that her sister comes and has this stuffed bear that Lunalyn made for her when she was little. And she brings it to her, and Lunalyn kind of like comes to her senses, and the sisters get reunited. And so I love the story. I love the character. I I don't know. It was like I said before, it was just like surreal to get to go in and work on a game like that and come out of it and just I mean, I cried. I was so happy. I've never burst into tears of joy like that before. And yeah, it was amazing.
I see. So that's how you like about being in that game, you know? Because I'm gonna be real straight with you, but you did very awesome playing that character, you know? Especially when you got to be around with a lot of people in that game, you know? Take for example, my very good friend of mine who I well, not good friend of mine, but a follower of mine, Courtney Lynn, who is also part of the game right there.
Yeah.
And you and everybody else, even of course Kelly Beskin, is so good that you on the other hand, you were able to bring such joy into that character. That's
Oh,
what I like about it so far.
well, thank you. I'm glad that you like her too. She's she's to be protected at all times.
Yeah, that's a good point right there. And that's why I like the game so far.
I'm
But
glad.
anyway, I how did it feel about playing Ella Hawthorne in Fallout Race to the Bottom?
So that was one of those casting call club projects that I did during the pandemic. And I'd never really done a casting call club project. In fact, the creator that made those is the only creator I've worked with through casting call club because I kind of like stopped doing those because I had to work on other things. But it was funny. I actually wasn't the original pick for Ella. Somebody else got cast as Ella, and then they dropped out of the project, and the director came and was like, "Hey, can you maybe take up Ella and see, like I really liked your audition too." And I was like, "Sure, okay, I'll go for it." Um, and it was a lot of dialogue because she's like the main quest giver in that mod. So you go to her first and she rambles on and on and on about how she got robbed and she wants you to help her. And but I got to use my like more southern accent, which I always really like using it. And that was not a good example, but gosh, what did she sound like? I can't remember. Welcome to the Freeside Co-op. Yeah, somewhere in there. Yeah.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
That's what
So
you're using.
So I liked doing that role and kind of embracing my Texan roots, I guess.
I
I like
see.
doing that accent in general. I just think it's fun. I have it on my commercial reel too. I have a silly.
Interesting that you're part of that game, you know? Since all I know is that Fallout has been going on for almost like a few years. Plus, they did a live action one in Amazon Prime, you know? So that's why everybody, including young EA and Bill Butts, are both big fans of it, you know? It's no wonder why they're beginning to see it for, because of Fallout being a all-out franchise. Plus, the narrator, Ron Perlman, is so good that he managed to narrate the entire story. And you being part of it, best choice ever. And I'm glad the director brought you in for that important reason.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm not an official part of Fallout, just in
Yeah,
a fan mod, but happy to step into the universe and play.
of
Uh
course.
so
Yeah. But anyway, this is the question I've been wanting to ask, but what's the most awesome thing when you got to play Toko Kanabashi in Zom 100?
so that was my first anime role, which was amazing. It was actually a role that I I just woke up one day and I had an email in my inbox that was like, "Hey, our casting director wants you to come in and play Kambayashi in Psalm 100," which I was like, "Huh?" And I think it was because I had taken a class and I must have done well in the class or something. I honestly don't know how I ended up in this role, but I remember I had two sessions because we had the first episode where she says like two things. And it was cool because I got to do some background characters in that episode too. Which aren't on my resume, but if you can find me in that episode, I am dying. So so you'll hear me screaming. But yeah, I mean, she's the worst, first of all. She's just the worst kind of person. She's Kambayashi is an interesting character because she blames everybody else for her problems and doesn't take ownership of her own actions and the things that she's done to put herself in the situation that she's found herself in. You see this like flashback where she's like, everybody in the office hates me and doesn't understand me. And it's because she doesn't approach anybody with kindness. And she believes her way is the best way. And in the session with Bill Millsap, who was directing, we were just laughing because we are like, everybody knows this type of person that, just kind of is just not kind and not willing to try to be kind and not willing to try to grow and learn why people might not respond well to them. And so uh I feel like and I hope that she's very opposite to how I carry myself through the world. So it was really fun to kind of dig into somebody so not friendly and be a villain for a bit. Very rewarding. Lots of fun screaming in the sessions. I love to scream in sessions. I don't know why. I think it's really fun. I know a lot of actors get nervous about harming their voice, but I do think that this is the one thing that opera has helped me with. I've got pretty good control of my voice in that regard, so screaming doesn't usually hurt or bother me too much unless I'm really doing it for like hours and hours and hours. So yeah, we just had a great time. I loved it. And it was cool, walking in and uh Abby Trott had left a poster for everybody to sign that was in the cast. And so I remember they were like, "Hey, also sign this poster before you leave." And it was the first time I'd signed anything for this job and for the work that I've done. Um so it kind of felt like a milestone, like, oh my gosh, I'm doing this. This is happening. So I hope it keeps happening. We'll see.
I see. So that's what you like about being in that show. Because all I know is that I've seen Zom 100, and I even made a video for you on my YouTube channel, which I included you in there as a way to help everyone recognize your voice. And from what it looks of things so far, you did very well playing that character, especially when you got to interact with Bill Millsap, who I got to interview with a few months ago. And you got to be with the legendary Bryce Peppenbrook, the main baddie right there. And so far, you managed to bring a lot of high expectations to it. But anyway, there are my two questions for you. But what's the biggest thing when you got to be an Undead Unlock as Lilita Mira?
Oh my gosh, I love Latla. I had actually gone that summer 2023. No, was it summer 2023?
Summer
Yes.
2023.
Yes, it was. It was. I went to the Undead Unluck open auditions and I sat and sat and sat and sat and sat and waited and I never got called up to try and read. And I just remember leaving and feeling really kind of crestfallen, like, oh man, I've missed this opportunity to try to be in this show. The manga's so cool. I really was hoping I could maybe sneak up there and make it happen. And this was before I booked Zom 100 or anything. So I didn't have any anime, anything going on at that time. And so I really had thought that this was the chance. Um, and I remember leaving and calling my parents and just like crying on the phone. Like, I didn't get to go. I didn't get to try. It's okay. And they were so good. They were so sweet. Like, all it takes is one yes, just keep at it, keep trying. Email, I emailed Mami Okada to thank her for putting that event on to begin with. And she emailed me back and it was just this nice, like, thanks for coming out. And I didn't think anything of it. And then I got an audition and I was like, what? I have an audition for Undead Unluck. Oh my gosh. And I auditioned for, oh gosh, 4 characters, I think, before I got the Lotla audition. And I was like, okay, I have not booked this job yet, but I'm hoping this character, she's got that like sexy kind of, she's a little villainous, but she's also big sister, which were like things that I feel like I play pretty well, that deep tone. Um, and as a kid, I always looked up to Laura Bailey, and I was like, if Laura Bailey were to be in this show, this is the character she would play in my mind. So it was either that or Juice. And so I was like, okay, if I want to be like Laura Bailey, I'm gonna try my hardest to book this role and just see what happens. Sent out my audition, and like a week later, I got the confirmation that I'd booked it, and it was like the first thing that I'd booked from a audition like that. And it was really cool to walk in and to feel like you were a part of something so huge and like a major part of it. Like, this is my first really, like, Kambayashi was a great role, but she's there for a few episodes and then, um, but with Latla, she's around. And she's kind of mysterious and but she's multifaceted, she's got that mystery, but she's also very kind. And I think deeply does want to do the right thing. But also has her own stuff. I'm trying not to spoil, but
No
read the
need.
manga if you haven't, because it's really good. I'm like the biggest Undead Unluck fan, in the terms of
Yes.
like, I think it's one of the coolest stories that have come out through manga and anime recently. So I'm truly like honored to be a part of it. I love Latla. I have many Latla figurines. Well, not figurines, but acrylic stands at my house.
I see. So
Yeah.
that's what you like about playing that character, you know? Because you being part of it is actually the right choice, you know? And I'm glad Tony Oliver was able to bring you in. Because of that, you got to be with a lot of people in it, including Jackie Lastra and Michelle A. Mary and everybody else. Even
Yeah.
my very good friend Mick Lauer, who, on the
Yeah.
other hand, is just too good at that. And honestly, it's by the time the second season comes, you'll be coming back very soon. I promise you that. But anyway, last question due to the timer and 5 minutes. But
Oh,
what was
sorry.
your favorite part about being the voice of Ocelot in The Seven Deadly Sins, Four Nights of the Apocalypse?
So Isolde she's just a doll. She's very like me. I think she and I both have very romantic hearts and deeply love people and love like fall in love easily. And so I saw a lot of myself in her, with how much she loves Tristan and just wants him to see her, and to notice her, for what she is. She's also somebody that's not fully comfortable in her own skin, which I also really relate to. But she's strong and she's passionate and she's so good-hearted. I mean, I think it was so cool for me watching it to see her be the one to kind of rush in and turn the tide a little bit in that final battle. Um and I think Mega Galand is the name of the character she's fighting. I didn't ever have to say it, so now I'm like I'm doubting my
Yeah. So
pronunciation.
much trouble too.
I had to learn how to pronounce her name in a session because I was like, Isolde, Isolda, Isolde. They were like,
Yeah.
it's Isolde. And I was like, oh, okay. Because I have to say it at one point. So if you don't know how to pronounce anything in a session, the
Yeah.
director will tell you, which is nice. They have just to keep it consistent throughout the dub. And gosh, I just love her. Very passionate, very fun, very goofy. I love how silly she is.
I see. So that's how you like about playing that character. Because all I know is that I've been watching Seven Deadly Sins for over a few years, and that you being part of it is the right choice, you know? Plus, I did notice from a post once that you met Kirk Thornton. Well, so did I a months ago. He's a very cool dude, actually.
But so you met Kirk, you were saying.
Yeah, and he's a very cool dude. I do an impersonation of him, and he told me that I sound a lot like him.
Oh, well, let's hear it.
Well, so far the doctor tell me that I'm having this much problems.
Hey, that's pretty good.
That's what he
Well,
told me.
yeah,
So,
nicely
yeah,
done. I was hearing the Sayaks in there,
yeah,
you know?
indeed.
Yeah.
But well, Kate, it's such an honor to finally meet you at last, Kate. And I've been wanting to do this with you for like a few months or so. And I'm glad I'm doing this.
Me too. Me too. I'm so
Yeah.
glad I got to meet you and chat face to face. It's always
Yeah.
so much fun. And thank you for thinking of me for this.
It's
What
what
a
I
lovely
do
time.
best.
It
But
is. It is.
well, Kate, it's such an honor to meet you, and I hope you do some great stuff, and that hopefully in the near future we get to work with each other in the when the time comes.
Yes, I hope that too.
Yep. Take
I
care,
think it'll
Kate.
happen. You too. Have a good one.
Bye bye.
Bye.